Why is the consciousness observing a particular body? Like, for example, my body. Why? Oh, my thoughts. Why is it? Why am I not saying like only consciousness?
You say why consciousness is observing a particular body, my thoughts. My also implies what? When you say my thoughts also, the my implies me. Who is me? Who is the one? You say my thoughts. Also, so this in this me itself, which is an aspect of consciousness, but now it has been modified into the form of a person. That says it's the person idea of consciousness that feels that it has thoughts. Actually, nobody has thoughts. Somebody has thoughts is really also a thought, but it's very, very difficult to understand this thing. If you identify as a person, it seems totally appropriate to say, yes, but these are my thoughts and so on. So you will probably very rarely hear this type of response in a genuine satsang, because there are people who say these things, but it's not appropriate at the time because most people, they don't get it, they don't see, they don't understand what to say. You say, why is a consciousness? Why doesn't it just stay as consciousness all the time? Well, it does.
But at the same time, it's observing.
Okay.
At the same time, it's kind of personal.
Yeah, there's a question in there you're asking, and in honesty, yes, why is a consciousness? Yet it is impersonal, yet it seems to be involved in the drama of a personal life or something. It's observing it, or It seems to observe it while there is still some interest that the person is true. When it knows that the person is not true, observing of life is not quite the same thing anymore, because it's non-consequential. It has no particular. You see. While we have the notion that we are a person, observing of life and feeling of a life and all the different shades and colors of existence, it becomes important. Once you are clear as to what your nature is, that you are the consciousness, not a belief, by the way, it is just clear. Then interest in observing life and making sense of things just drops away, in fact. Now, where are we positioned to understand this? Either it becomes a very smooth and liberating understanding, or it becomes more complex and confusing, depending on where you place your identity. If your identity is placed in the person, it will just somehow seem like it goes over your head. You don't quite catch what that means. But as soon as it is grasped that... but actually, the sort of person... The person feeling that is happening inside his body is a sort of self-portrait that consciousness paints of itself as a person. Not just the object of the person, but the whole psychological portrait of what the person means, you see.
What I experienced the last days was I was constantly observing my thoughts, and they were not really mattering anymore so much.
Okay. Observing has this power also, because as you observe, something becomes obvious, that the thing that you're observing has no life independent of your observing of it. It actually just seeps into the consciousness that, wait a minute, it just loses its force, in fact.
Yeah.
You see, as you observe. When you don't observe, what tends to happen is that you either deliberately, consciously or unconsciously accept the thoughts to be you or yours. When you observe, it becomes almost impossible to find the one who owns any thought.
As soon as I realize the ever-present, I don't have to actively observe, because observing naturally occurs.
Yes. Observing happens casually, neutrally, because when you discover your true self, it has no benefit to draw from psychological thinking or identity. You're again in your natural state. While we are in the state of personhood, our thoughts and ideas are very important to us. When you are again the self, thoughts and ideas are just thoughts and ideas, nothing at all much about them. The person itself, which is a construct of also thoughts, memory, identity, and so on, is an aspect of consciousness, but it is a distortion of consciousness. You see, and it is never stable. It is always it's an amoeba. It's always changing shape somehow. It's not constant. You see, at a certain point, this also is noticed, and when that is noticed, just somehow, almost effortlessly, you are slipping into the position as the observer of the person.
Yeah.
You see, it's not an intellectual thing. It's almost chemical. You somehow find that the sense of person just has a little attraction. You see, just you're into a space, which is like space, and a calmness is there. The urgency about thought or any sort of problem to solve or any of these things becomes very light and almost casual, almost uninteresting to you. Because the pure self is not trying to figure out anything. The pure self, where is it? In this body, the pure self, the egoic identity, the state of being, the absolute consciousness, it's all here. And in a sense, you can say, they all the things like the identity, the personhood, the weakness, all of these, they can quietly slip away, except one thing cannot slip away, that absolute standpoint.
Yeah.
That alone cannot slip. All the others are sort of like somehow relative. As you awaken to them, they become phenomenal to you.
Also, the observing can become phenomenal.
Yes. When the observing is phenomenal, itself is phenomenal, all the pressure inside the consciousness disappears.
Sometimes have the feeling I observe the person observing. Is that maybe what you mean?
Yes, in the purest sense, even that is saying too much.
Yeah.
What is left is just a total state of contentment beyond the concept of contentment itself. You're just in your natural state, an effortless state. You're not turning any machinery. Functioning of the senses, functioning through the senses is taking place. Perception of functioning is naturally there. It's not that there's somebody going, oh, I'm perceiving through the senses. No, it's all one organic whole functioning, you can say that. Functioning is also perceived, you can say that. But it's so totally innocent. There's no cleverness about it. There's nothing at all. Nothing like, oh, wow, I'm perceiving. No, there's no excitement about it. It's like, so what? It's not any more than an insect on one level. I say more than that, because the consciousness manifests in a much more complex, much more sophisticated way, you can say, through the human instrument than it does through, say, a mosquito or something like that. Therefore, it is said that the human form is itself auspicious manifestation of consciousness. Because in this form, the consciousness can contemplate itself.
Yeah.
You see, and be free from delusion.
Yeah. What I it's somehow recognizable in every object. Also, I experience it like from every object is also coming this silence, and it's also objects are wrapped in this silence. and my mind is wrapped in the silence as well. I don't know.
You must be coming into a very beautiful space of joy if you come to such an observation. A lightness, an ease, the joy of not being responsible for the functioning of the universe. That things are simply unfolding because the senses are there, and we have no fight with the senses because they're not offensive to the being. It's part of the... In fact, you may say you enjoy the diversity of consciousness's expressions, because now they cause no injury. They're not creating disharmony. All these kind of concepts, they become meaningless. In fact, it's one totality functioning, you can say. And when you, as a person, is out of the picture, it becomes very beautiful. Exquisite, I don't want to say exquisite because it's not a kind of phenomenal beauty in that sense. The beauty is in the effortlessness of being, you know, and not in the features of being necessarily. That also you can include, but just your own effortlessness, because we suffer from our effortfulness.
Oh, that's true.
You see, because we are trying so hard to kind of get life and to do something with life, and it's just you see. But when you discover that the life takes care of life, and somehow it's quietly understood that the sense of person is only a kind of a role that consciousness plays somehow. You know, that the person really has no real autonomy. The autonomy is the self's autonomy. The person is not independent of that. And it's only a sense. Then you don't mind even that sense being there, because you're understanding in the correct context and perspective. But when you believe in the person, you believe you are the person, then it's a severe contraction of consciousness. And it becomes, it's like you're a living headache. Because you're just banging yourself against the universe. Trying to, not making sense, not feeling the sense of completeness, restless, rarely in a state of compassion or lightness or openness, because the state of a personhood is quite a vulnerable state, and I would say even an aggressive state. And so it's not open. What is aggressive tends not to be open. When you're not open, you suffocate your spontaneity.
Where does the effortlessness come from?
It is there.
It's just
it doesn't come, in fact, because it actually doesn't go either. It is there. You know? You see, I mean, and it is totally experienced as that. It doesn't come. I mean, we use language in that way, in the same way you say that the sun rises and sets. The sun go up and the sun go down, whereas in fact the sun doesn't go anywhere at all. It is relative to the earth. It is totally still. It is the earth that turns, but you don't feel the earth's turning. It is experienced as though it's the sun that is going down, because somehow the earth is turning, but you don't feel the turning earth. You feel fairly still, and the sun's going down. It's only when you know the thing that it becomes obvious. When you don't know something, it seems like it's the most, it's just so far away. But when you are aware of it, when you're conscious of it, when you recognize it, it's just simple. My God, how it happened that I did not see this before? You know?
It's like a failure picture. You have a picture, and you must seek the failure in the picture.
The and failure is what?
It's like a mistake in the picture. And as soon as you see it, then you can't
not see it.
Not see it.
Yeah. Yes.
Is it like that? Maybe.
I wasn't following actually what you were saying. You say that there's something mistake. Everything is fine when you're not there. When you, as a kind of personal identity, is not there. And there seems to be a fear about that, because in the absence of the sense of you, the sense of you feels, but what is there? I mean, it's like what an unfair sacrifice to give up all this joy and all of this wonder and all of this. You see, but it is not like that at all. The ego, it is like the fingernail that hides the sun. How can a fingernail hide the sun? You see, it is when you identify with it, it seems to be everything. Everything comes to me. Once you see what it is, it's just a bubble in the universe. See, when you believe it's what you are, it seems that it's just as like, but what will I be without this? And when you realize yourself, you say, oh my God, how could I imagine I am that? And this is the difference. All the time you are the self, but it carries the label of being the person, and it lives in the notion of being the person. If I say you're really happy but you're not aware, so actually, experientially, you're not happy. But actually, when you realize your true self, the happiness is there. Where did it come from? It was always there. But the mind interpreted it a certain way, and you're living in the interpretation of your mind. I don't know how useful these things I'm talking about is. I don't know. Because it is so beautifully simple, actually. And it's doing it. Everybody's in labor with themselves. Everybody is somehow giving birth to themselves. Some births are very easy, Flip. Another one is just pure trouble. Another one, if it's too difficult, it has to be cesarean or something. But the baby has to come at some point. And the baby is you. I don't know how good an example that is. Somebody makes kind of sense in me.
And you're the midwife.
I'm the midwife. Football?
Blow the horn.
Has anybody seen the remote control?
Oh, yes. I am the remote control, my dear.
And I give thanks and praises to the Most High, Jah Rastafari, Lord of creation. All thanks and praises due to Jah Rastafari, fire burn illusion. Give thanks and praises to the Most High, Jah Rastafari, love is thy fragrance. All thanks and praises due to Jah Rastafari, dispel all delusion. All thanks and praises due to Jah